Today I'm going to walk you through the making of this adorable little bird fairy that I made with my Daniel Smith watercolors. And if this is your first time visiting, my name is Karen Campbell, and it's so lovely to meet you. I, together with my friend Jenny Mano, have been doing 4 weeks of a mystical, magical mashup where and here's an example of 2 that we've done, we take 2 references. This week it's this bird and this illustration by thepixies.com. And then I added 2 additional references. So I have this bird from Pinterest and this interesting fairy creature, also from Pinterest. And I'm going to mash them together to create an entirely new work of art. It's a really, really, really fun exercise. When we came up with the idea together, I don't think I had at any time a notion of just how inspiring that this whole process was going to be. I knew it was going to be challenging, and it definitely has been, but it's really stretched me creatively. I've done each project in a completely different medium. So I've done a combination of markers and pencils. The second one was also markers. The third one was a complete mixed media experiment in magical mermaid awesomeness. And this week I'm changing it up entirely. But I think what I've learned is that when you look at references for inspiration, I think as an artist you really need to be open to wherever that can take you. And I think that's what I love most about being a mixed media artist, is that I'm not limited by my supplies. I'm only really limited by my imagination. So when I go on Pinterest and I sort through all of my hundreds of boards, and when I say hundreds, I mean, I think I have hundreds. It just fills my soul and my imagination with just a bottomless surge of creativity. It's almost overwhelming, and sometimes I don't even know where to start. Because I've created an art room that's filled with my favorite art supplies. I've recently done a purge, and I've just kind of made peace with and given away certain things that I'm just not into, not going to use. And so I'm faced with still a large breadth of supplies to work with. And, I'm not an expert at all of them by any means. And watercolors is probably my weakest medium. But every single time I go onto Pinterest and I stare at these magical, beautiful illustrations by others, I just can't help but just go give something a shot. So today when I was looking at the inspiration that I had printed out on my computer, I couldn't help but feel that I needed to do watercolor today. What I love about Daniel Smith, and I fought collecting his watercolors for years because they're extremely expensive, and I just couldn't justify the cost. But when I tell you that there's something magical about Daniel Smith watercolors, I am not messing around. It's really like watercoloring from fresh pigments that are found from Mother Earth itself. There really is the way that the pigment just, I don't know even the word, fractulates on the watercolor paper. This amethyst purple that I'm using right now, it has a shimmer and a sheen to it. And these are not chemically made in a factory, with chemical compounds. These are literal pigments that are mined from the earth, and you're spreading them on your paper, and you can just feel that about these watercolor paints. They're not like anything else. I used to also never take the time to swatch out my materials. I'm always in a rush. I have 3 kids. I always have a load of laundry going. And so swatching out my colors was never something that I was interested in taking the time to do until I met these Daniel Smith watercolors. And then I absolutely could not get enough. I ordered his 328 dots on Amazon, which you can order a dot sample for each of his paint colors, and it's $20 for all the dots. And I came up with a really cool and fun way to swatch all of those, and I'll link to that down below and in the card above. And it just let me have a little taste of what each color looked like, and I honestly was just amazed by what each pigment color can do. I mean, truly. So when I go online and I see these pictures and I get a burning desire to bust out a certain medium, you better believe that's exactly what I'm going to do. So even though watercolors are not my strength, and I fight with them too because I am such a loose artist, I don't really like to slow down and be careful. And I think a true watercolorist is really meticulous, and they really kind of romance each drip and stroke of their brush. And I just don't work like that. And so half of me is saying, you really need to slow down, you really need to slow down. And the other half of me is saying, but why? I like doing this, and I'm not sad about it. And so my little critics inside are kind of fighting with each other. I also fight with whether or not to use pen in my illustrations, because I really love to draw as much as I love to paint. So I kind of go back and forth in my head about what I'm going to do. This one I decided to bring in a really fine tip marker, which is nice because it's not too overwhelming. I think a lot of times I err on the side of being my nib is too big, and so it's too bold. But I think this one I was okay. I picked a nice fine nib, and so it didn't overwhelm the colors that I saw in my picture. So I have to say, if you are struggling for ideas, I would say the two best places that you can go to jumpstart your creativity are Pinterest, and do like we're doing with these mashups. You know, grab two references, unexpected things. Grab an animal and a vegetable, right? Grab a human and a fish, and see how you can maybe combine these in new, exciting ways that you had never thought to before. And it's really as simple as that. So this whole challenge, and I knew it was going to be fun and inspiring, but I really, really, truly did not appreciate just how much this was going to change kind of the trajectory of my pieces going forward. It really has had a huge impact on me and how I think about using references and just where to get ideas from and how to combine them to make completely new and original works. Now this one is too much like my references. I don't feel comfortable selling this, and I don't sell my work anyways. But I hope just these projects in general have inspired you. I know a lot of people are playing along in our Facebook groups, and I encourage that if you do, to come share them with us, because we would love to see them, both Jenny and I. And I have a link to our Facebook groups below, but there's a playlist that you can see right here that has the rest of our mashups and the making of, which you can go check that out. And I really hope that you learned something today and had even a little teeny bit chunk of fun as I did. Then I know it's going to be a good day.